So this is my post commentary for my full Sawmill run. Um, Not really a whole lot to say here. Just a loading screen. I apologize if I'm a little quiet. Everyone is asleep here as I'm doing this. So challenge 1 goes as well as you would expect. 6-second delivery, pretty average here. Again, just regular surprise. No need to do any flourishes on this challenge. And a regular surprise has a much shorter animation than any flourish. 13 seconds is very optimal here, so no complaints there. And then, yeah, we run and slow down at the truck. And 24. Not the best I've ever done, but not bad, acceptable. So I actually do this challenge first, challenge 3. Start off sneaking and sneak backwards, because if you're heard and spotted in this one, you lose the challenge. And then you begin sneaking, and this is the first person you deliver to here, this woman in the green hat. Take off running to the right and sneak to the right of this individual here, about this far or so. And yeah, 15 seconds every time. So yeah, this challenge has a consistent cycle as well. And then at about 18 seconds, typically when I deliver to her. 17 is possible, but very, very difficult to achieve. Next, I do the short challenge, or shortest challenge potentially, with the flourish level 1, since it has the shortest animation. And again, if a challenge only requires a flourish in general and doesn't specify that you should do a 2 or a 3, just do a 1. It'll always have the shortest animation. This challenge also requires flourishes. It has the same cycle as challenge 3, ironically, but since we start a little further up, we are able to actually do it in a bit of a different order and slightly faster. So we go to her first up here, another woman in a green hat. 10 seconds is very consistent, and then we run backwards to this guy and get him at 12. So, fun stuff. The next challenge is another flourish challenge, and it's sort of the reason I end up doing challenge 2 after challenge 3. I kind of group these together. Just, I don't know, they're consistent, I suppose. So here's where things get a little strange. Typically, this is the first person you deliver to in this challenge, but my cycle doesn't happen. I decide not to restart because the first person ends up being this person that I see on the map that becomes hungry. So I get my flourish, and at this point, since the cycle is disrupted, it's, well, anyone's game. So, luckily, the next person's pretty close. But the best strategy when something like this happens, I find, is to get a pretty decent spot in the center of the map and just sort of wait. I expect it to be this woman walking in the back over here, but then I'm wrong, and it turns out to be this person sawing the log, which is the last person it's supposed to be in the normal cycle, ironically enough. So, yeah, not really any gameplay errors there per se, but not the best RNG. Moving forward, my first split in my splits happens when this door shuts up here. We're going to move into the second part of the stage. So open, and I'll say split where I split, and split. So, yeah, for those keeping track at home. And the next challenge is maybe the other shortest challenge. It requires one flourish level 3, very consistent cycle. This person right behind you, and bam, flourish 3, challenge is done. But we have to watch the full animation. Fabulous. The next challenge requires 3 flourish level 3s in a row. It's a very easy challenge to fail, obviously, for that reason, but it's, there's worse. Trust me, we're only in the first stage. So you have to run all the way back through and go back through the door. Fun stuff. So yeah, this challenge is all the way over here, and it requires 3 flourish level 3s. I have to do 2 restarts to get my preferred cycle. If you don't get the preferred cycle in this, you're not gonna have a very fast time. But 2 restarts isn't the worst, and then I get the cycle, and the challenge goes really well from there. The first person we get is right here, and again, we have to watch the whole animation. And if you notice, someone will become hungry right about then behind us, and they're slowly walking directly behind us, and we're going to catch them as soon as we turn around here, and bam. And now if you notice, there's somebody else hungry approaching us. So this is the best cycle. The two people walking in that direction on the map, if you see the other one just became hungry, it's kind of random as to which one is the first one. Got lucky here. So even with 2 restarts, got the best RNG, really. Next is probably one of the worst challenges in any percent, in my opinion, and that is the chain count 5. It's pretty consistent. It starts off with this individual over here, and chain count 5 means you have to obtain a chain count of 5, meaning 5 deliveries in a row without being spotted. So the challenge done something weird to me that it had never done, and this person was second. That is, I've never seen that before. But what ends up happening as a result of this is a very quick version of this challenge that I've just never seen. So pretty consistent. A guy I saw on the log, or the other guy rather, and then usually that lady walking or this guy appears next. But what happens next, I just really didn't anticipate. The woman back there that was just walking is the next one. This is pretty much an ideal cycle here, and it just basically never happens with this challenge. It's more common to see the timer up there be at about 47 or so at the end of this, maybe even 50, depending on what happens. So next we do one of the easiest challenges in the stage. You have to do 1 delivery from a hiding spot. It has a very, very consistent cycle. And you start from back here, and you can see there's a person to our right there, hungry, right at the beginning. We run straight to the back of this truck and get in, and right about the time we finish getting in, we can already do the delivery, so we just immediately do it. And that is the challenge. Just mash A, regular surprise, done. Simple. Alright, next is the biggest gameplay blunder in this run. You have to get 10,000 points in less than 60 seconds. A pretty simple task. It can start with one of 2 particular cycles. This is the better one in my opinion. Starting with this guy here. You want him to get to what I like to call red hunger, or there'll be a little red barrier thing around the burger icon. And then you want to do a flourish level 2. That'll give you 3,600 points if you're close enough to it. You want to do it again with the next person here. Unfortunately, I got distracted or something. I'm not even really sure what happened, but I end up preemptively pressing A and then just mashing through and doing a regular surprise, so I have to do 3rd delivery. I have a little bit of a stutter pause, but I decided to continue the run because some other particularly weird challenges went really well. So then I panic even harder and just do a force level 3 to ensure that I'll have enough points, which, as you all know, has a much longer animation, but I didn't fail the challenge, and that's, I guess, good enough for me. Alright, moving on. For some reason, I decided to walk on this side of the truck when going to the other side of the stage. Not really sure why. But yeah, back through the door and to the other side of the stage we go. Fun stuff, man. So this challenge here is pretty notorious. You have to hide in 10 different spots. There's a faster route for this challenge that I don't do, and it's because it crashes about 80% of the time. So this is the second fastest route that I'm aware of. You immediately turn around and hide in these logs. Now, the game is known to crash when going in and out of hiding spots, but it seems to have something more to do with the amount of people that are spotting you while you're getting into one, or what frame they spot you on as you're activating it, or something. Not really sure. Anyway, you get to see this little move only one time in the run, and you get to go up here. The fastest route just comes straight up here and hides on both sides of this haystack and both sides of the log we're about to hide in. Doing a little bit of subtle AI manipulation here, actually, keeping that guy in the green shirt away from the space that you have to be on to hide in the log. If you get there at the wrong time, as you see he's approaching it, he'll be right on top of it, and you can't get in. Next, you run down and go into this porta potty, and come right back out. like I said, this challenge is notorious to completely just crash the game so in certain situations. So just getting a run past it is okay for me. I do the second fastest route because the fastest route crashes, like I think about 80% of the time, honestly. At least on original Xbox. I've actually not done this challenge on Xbox 360 now that I think about it. We're going to do one more little bit of AI manipulation right up here. We go into this door, and as we're going in, someone else is walking through it. Fantastic. But if we sneak around them, though, they can be at this space right there as well. So, yeah. And that's that challenge. It's kind of long and tedious, but it's not the longest challenge in this stage. Oh, no, it isn't. It's interesting. We are 11 minutes in and 11 challenges, but this is a 26-minute run. So, we're over halfway there. But, I don't know, it's fascinating. So this challenge here is pretty cool. You have to do 2 deliveries from a hiding spot. The first one is pretty simple and kind of awesome. You just go in this door, and you can deliver to this person as they're walking out of it, because they're always hungry. Again, this challenge has a really consistent cycle. No floors is required, so whatever. So we're like delivering to somebody through a wall. That's fun. Next, you're not really in a hurry here. You just want to get to this hiding spot right here. And you're like, but why? There's a person to the left there that's hungry. Well, that's why. And that's a very consistent thing that happens. I mean, I've seen it not happen, but it's pretty rare, to be honest. So that challenge went well, as it pretty much always does. Oh, the next challenge. It has one of a couple cycles. I got the best cycle immediately, so there's no restarts. You have to get 5,000 points in just one delivery. I found that the quickest way to do it is to get this particular cycle, which allows you to do a delivery from a hiding spot, which is a bit of an unorthodox choice since it does have a longer animation. But we get the points sooner by only having to do one delivery. So you see this guy here is hungry right at the beginning, so I just sneak and hide in this log, and his path comes right to this spot. So we're going to want him to be as close as he can be so that we get the most points. And I overdo it a little bit as well and do a flourish level 2. Truthfully, it can probably be done slightly faster. I played it a little bit safe, but, everything still worked out okay. The next challenge is notoriously hard, to be honest. It works most of the time. There's a chance that one particular bystander won't become hungry at the proper moment, and then you won't be able to make the delivery at the proper moment, and therefore you lose your chance to do this fast. You don't lose your chance to do it all together, but the fastest method I get first try here, which is quite nice. It always starts off with this person right back here. You want to just do a regular surprise. The only reason we want to do this is to get our chain count to 1. Then immediately hide in this bush. If the person... you can see the green icon on the map. If that person right there that's walking towards us becomes hungry, that is, at the right moment. If they're not hungry by the time you're done with that regular surprise, restart the challenge. You got about a 50-50 shot. I got, pretty lucky here, obviously. And on top of it, you also have to wait for them to get right there and do a flourish level 3. This will give you 60,000 points. The exact amount you need to complete the challenge. Not the exact amount, but this is the quickest way of doing it. By far. The backup strat is that guy, actually, walking right there. If you don't want to restart the challenge, I suppose. Alright, next, we are doing one of the funner challenges in this stage, I think. I wish it was in any percent, but it's really not that fast. You have to do 5 deliveries without being seen or heard. So immediately, do not run at the beginning of this. Get about right past this wooden thing, and then just run. We're going straight for this lady in the green hat right here, because she becomes hungry right about the time we get to it. Just do regular surprises. Next, we have this guy directly behind us. Fabulous. And this cycle is also a pretty consistent cycle. I've seen it deviate like maybe once or twice ever. Then we get the guy that, you know, is coming around the truck right there. Then we take off running in this direction, and we're going to get this woman in red. She'll become hungry. Oh, nope, she already is. Fantastic. And then coming up, you can kind of fidget your way through this NPC and get to this woman right here. I really like that challenge. It's one I just enjoy. Alright, oh, I forgot to mention where my second split was. It's after I go through the door after I've completed 10 challenges. So on the way to the hiding space challenge. The third split is coming up. And we're going to be going to the other and final area of the stage. I split right when his finger touches the button, so split. So this challenge is 3 deliveries in less than 30 seconds. Pretty consistently starts off with this guy here, just sneak around his vision box, which for some reason is really wide. I'm not really sure why, now that I really think about it. And then pretty consistently the next 2 people will be these 2 right over here. You'll notice he will become hungry, bam, right there. And she's walking right past you. Man, this challenge is just so easy and fast. It's fantastic. Stinks that it takes so long to get to it. It's not a very good challenge for any percent at all. Which is why we, you know, don't do it in 80%. Next, we are going to do the other challenge over here, which is honestly a pretty difficult challenge. You have to get a chain count of 5, much like the earlier challenge, but you're in a much more confined space, and it's pretty easy to get spotted and lose your chain count. So it's pretty easy to fail this challenge. I didn't fail it, and I actually did it pretty good, so I was overall quite happy with the results. I also think the positioning of the challenge itself is somewhat strange. I mean, there's only 2 challenges over here, and this one's like tucked behind a log. So this one's sort of random, but you'll end up feeding off 5 people over here, so it doesn't really matter who it starts with. We got Mr. Wide Vision right here. And then we immediately get the woman walking back here. And I think I'm going to end up getting this guy right with her, and I do. So that's pretty lucky. So it's pretty much the same thing as the last challenge to begin with. Actually, no, it is the same. So that's funny. And then I get really lucky, and I get this guy immediately. But, ooh, almost got spotted there. Managed to avoid that. And then the final person is the tree chopper over here. So that challenge went well. Only 2 challenges left, and, 3 challenges. Oh yeah, I forget about this challenge all the time. This challenge went kind of weird. There's a pretty consistent cycle that for some reason I just didn't get. I have to restart it once, and then I see that I'm going to get the cycle, so I continue forward in it. The better cycle starts with her. The next person is supposed to be this guy that I'm running up to, but for some reason it doesn't happen, and this is something that's pretty unusual. So at this point, I just sort of stand in the middle here and hope for the best, and then I notice that Mr. Truck Guy is hungry again. So that's interesting. I don't know. It seems like anytime something goes weird there, the next person is always Mr. Truck Guy. I don't know. And then for some reason, this guy. And I have to do some pretty fancy footwork here to avoid his detection. But everything sort of worked out. So now only 2 more challenges. And this next challenge is the longest challenge in the stage. You have to deliver something to all 20 NPCs in the stage. And yeah, it's pretty long. It's pretty awful. If you get spotted by one of them while they're hungry, you immediately fail the challenge. And if you can't get to one in time, you also immediately fail the challenge. So you have to go, but you know, you also have to know when to play conservatively. Overall, you can sort of just kind of burst your way through it, but there's a few tricky moments, as you'll see. The beginning here is pretty easy. There's only 5 NPCs over in this huge area, and the very first one we get is this woman all the way back here. And this one also has a pretty consistent cycle from what I've noticed. Sometimes the orders might be slightly different, but it'll always give you everybody in an area, and then you move on to the next. It never makes you skip into an area and come back to it, which is a pretty good thing. So you don't want the people who aren't hungry to see you either, because if they do, it disrupts their cycle for some reason. And what I mean by that is they won't become hungry, and then you'll have to skip to the next area. And that woman there that we almost just ran directly in front of, and if you saw there, she even turned around. She's actually the next person to do a delivery to in this cycle. So very lucky she didn't see us, because that would have disrupted it, and we would have had to just move on to the next area. But we get really lucky, and not only is she the last one, but she's right near the door for where we need to move forward. This next section is where things start to just kind of get chaotic with this challenge. There's 10 NPCs in this big, huge area, including one that's up on a tower. I mean, it's sort of crazy. So it starts off when we get Mr. Log Guy over here. Well, one of the two eternally sawing log twins. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. And then we get pretty lucky and get this guy right here. So that's cool. And then I see one pop up on the other side of the map, and I'm like, oh, yep, here we go. So off we go, and it's that woman way back there. So we take off running, and it seems like every time I deliver to her, it's somewhere right on the other side of this tree right here. She's never anywhere else in her cycle, really. So then we get Log Guy number 2. I take some pretty weird pathing here that did honestly cost me some time, but I was playing it safe. Because see that NPC walking in the background there, I was trying to avoid their detection, and I didn't exactly know where they were. I could see them on the map, but I was, like I said, just playing it safe. For some reason, I fidget around that guy. But yeah, then we get the other log chopper in the stage. Or tree chopper, or whatever. Next, we have this woman up here. And I play some pretty safe strats right there. I honestly went a bit overboard, so that was a small time loss. Nothing too major. Nothing that will cost the challenge. Next, we get this woman. Pretty lucky. Nice and close. And then I can see one slightly further away. And, oh, it's Mr. Truck Guy. And then we get the person on the tower. You can see him up there now in the background. Look how slow this is. Now, I do stop at one point to let them walk on past, to give them just a bit of a head start so that I don't get up there right as soon as they're getting close enough to be able to see me. But still, that climbing animation is just so dreadfully slow. I mean, look at this. We've spent like 10 seconds of this challenge just climbing that stupid ladder. Yep, so the last person in this section is pretty much always consistently this one. I played a little bit safe again in terms of when I stop running there. And then we go to the final area that has the 5 NPCs that are all clumped together in a pretty confined space. This challenge takes such a stupid amount of time compared to the other ones. It's sort of appropriate, though. I don't save it for last just to give my... Oh, did you see how narrow that dodge was there? Fantastic. Anyway, I don't do it last to give myself a bit of a rest after it. Like, if I get past this point, I can just smile and do the final challenge that I leave for the end. So we get pretty good luck here, overall. I would have preferred not to gotten this person here in a normal situation, but the next person we got after them happened to be the person who was just to the right of us that just went into this door. So that's pretty cool. And then the final one is slightly further away than what I would have preferred, but not that far away. And that's the longest challenge in the stage. And let me tell you, it's a rough one. 3:45 isn't terrible, I guess. And then the last challenge I leave for myself is a challenge that used to be in any percent. It isn't anymore. But you start off, and your first anchor point is this sign. So you stop running there to avoid that guy's detection. Then you sort of make a S and kind of run through the center of this. We're running back here to get, actually a truck guy is what I call this dude. But we're getting him as he comes out of the door. You can deliver to him on 145, but it's pretty tricky. Next person is the person sawing a log. I normally go to the right side, but for some reason I decided to go to the left side this time. I'm not really sure why. I don't think it's slower or faster, probably. But that's something I never do on that challenge, to be totally honest. Next person is this lady back here. Oh, and this challenge has a very consistent cycle as well, so I already know the order very well coming into it. Although this next part can be a little bit weird. Sometimes that woman there is in a different spot in her path. And I was sort of prepared for that, and she was not quite that far yet, meaning I'd actually went pretty quick. So that was definitely some mistakes right there. However, this is the end of the run. This is the final delivery. And time would be right here after the last day press. Bam. So, hope you all enjoyed.